So hello and welcome to another episode of Steam Forward, and today I'm going to be answering your questions. So last week I put out my socials on my YouTube channel if you have any questions to ask about, and I have had a few questions in response. Now I apologise if this is a little bit dark today. I wanted to actually take the SL out and give it a quick little clean today. I've just been outside and it started to rain, so of course it's starting to rain. So the one day this week where I actually get out and I can do stuff, it's of course started to rain. So yeah, not really the best of start. So I'm having to film in here. So what, give the car clean and do a bit of filming, but I'm just going to skip the clean and leave it in here today in the barn. So apologies if you're a little bit darker than usual. So let's start off with the first question that we have today, and that is, where can I buy a set of free spokes from? So if you don't know, if you're new to the channel, I recently fitted a set of period correct genuine Mercedes free spoke alloys to my SLK. I'll put a picture on the screen. And I've had a couple of people message about where can they buy a set, and unfortunately, my answer, I haven't got a clue. I do keep a look on eBay and I do keep a look online. I'm part of some Facebook SLK groups, so I always see something comes on there. I've only ever seen the one set for sale, and the only other one I've seen is a single alloy on its own. I can't remember if it's the front and back of the wheels are slightly wider. I've only ever seen one of those for sale on its own, so that's not really of any use to anybody unless you're going to buy one and then build up the other three eventually and wait. That seems quite a long-winded way to do it, but I suppose my only advice is keep looking on eBay, keep looking on those SLK forums, keep looking on the SLK Facebook pages and groups, and hopefully something will come up eventually. Hopefully, but yes, if I see one, I will certainly let people know, and I'll put it onto my socials as well, and we'll go from there. So I know that's not a very good response for you. I know if you're wanting a set of those free spokes, that's not a very helpful response. But you never know what's going to be put on eBay, and that's the only thing you can do is keep hunting around. Unfortunately, my ones aren't for sale because I actually love them so much, and you guys seem to like them as well, so that's even more of a bonus. So next question is from my friend Wine, who bought the Mini off me, and he has asked, when am I getting an R53 Cooper S Mini? And he knows that I'm quite interested in one of them. I have said that before in my one of our videos, I think previously, and I would quite like an R53 to have as a comparison. I am going to talk a little bit more in a video soon that's coming up about sort of my previous cars and also what cars I would like to own in the future. So I'll probably go into a little more detail when I do that video. So a YouTube subscriber called Dave, he has asked two questions. First of which is what other Merc would I like to get. Again, I'm going to do a video going a bit more in detail in this. That will be coming up soon. However, I will give a brief overview. I did do an experience there at Mercedes-Benz where I drove an AMG GT, and I've sort of been bitten by that now. I would like an AMG one day. I think that's the only. If I've got the classic, I've got the modern classic, I've got my daily. I sort of still think that I would still like an AMG. Quite nicely feeds into his second question, which is, do I miss my R7172 SLK? And I don't miss that car as such. I think it was definitely time for that car to go. As you've probably seen, it's causing quite a few issues. I need to probably pump a bit of money into it. And when you've got cars like this, you've got the SLK that actually I'd rather put the money into because I've seen a bit more of an investment. At least that's what I tell my partner. I'd rather pump the money into these cars that I know are potentially going to go up in value, whereas the SLK, the newer one, was only going to depreciate in value, not at a vast rate. I had it for about 6 years, and I did lose obviously a few £1,000 on it, but that's that is what it is, to be honest. Particularly with newer cars as well. So I don't miss the car. I do miss having something slightly sportier. I love this SL, but it is definitely a cruiser. The SLK, the R170, again, is a lovely car, but probably not an all-out sports car. And I've mentioned before, it's sort of sits in the middle, really. It's sort of either a bit of a sports car-ish, but it's also a cruiser. I've tried to sort of meet in the middle, really, so it sort of sits halfway between those two. And I find myself missing something I can sort of throw around. I do live in the countryside, we do have some nice driving roads, and I do miss having something that I can sort of chuck around the corners a little bit. Maybe a manual as well. I can go for the gears on and all that sort of stuff. So that's possibly, when I'm looking at my next car, if I wanted to add a car on or buy an extra car, and I don't know what is around the corner. You never know. I never really intended to buy the Mini, but it sort of was there, and I stuck my hand up in the air, as I've mentioned before, and ended up buying it. Bit of an impulse purchase, to be honest, but there you go. So my next question is, what's my favourite event and venue? And this is quite nice, 'cause I can sort of roll this all into one. My favourite venue and event is probably Chelsea Walsh. I remember for this year of the Midland Automobile Club, which is Chelsea Walsh's club, and I've really enjoyed it. And I think I paid about £100 last year. I think it's 110, but I bought it at the NEC, so I got a discount, so it was £100. And considering the amount of times I've been up there, and you get free entry, membership, parking discounts on the merchandise, little sort of magazine that comes out, little mini booklet that comes out every quarter, I believe, and it's really paid for itself. I've probably been to at least sort of 10 events up there. Now, if you consider that, okay, the little morning meets they do on a Sunday morning and the evening meets on a Thursday evening are probably about £5 to go to per person. So I sort of haven't really worked it out. But in terms of big events, if you to pay on the day, something like £25–30, so you do save quite a bit there. As I don't live that far away from there as well, I can just nip up there. If we want to go out, me and my partner have been, or our partner might choose better English there. I've been up there. It's a nice sunny afternoon, and there's some racing going on, and we've nipped up and gone and sat there for a couple of hours on a sunny afternoon, and it's sort of worked out. It's been quite nice to do that just for a couple of hours and come back. We haven't been out that long. It's nice that we've been able to get out and do a few little bits and pieces, really. So next question is, well, what's coming up on this channel? What am I doing? What are my plans? Well, obviously at the moment it's winter. I don't like going out in the cars. I don't have that many plans currently. I am going to try and stick to 2 videos a week, purely because I think it works a little bit better than the way the algorithm on YouTube works. It's generally they like you to post a bit more content than just do stuff infrequently, generally. However, it is obviously quite hard to come up with ideas and to do things at the moment. So there might be a few more sort of sit and talk videos like this one. Obviously it's Q&A, and I also do one about my previous cars I've already mentioned, and also what I'd like to do next and sort of ideas and stuff. So there will be a few more sit and talk videos. I know it's not necessarily the most popular things with people, but once the spring comes out, I do have a few sort of road trip plans of lots of shows and events coming up. I'm sort of planning those at the moment. As you've already said before, on the road trips that I want to do is with the SLK, as a sort of celebration that project's finished. However, that is I was going to try and do it at the last year, but we never quite had the nice weather for it, so I've sort of left it now. And I would like to have done it and just finished it off and got it done, but I sort of feel I'd rather wait until spring now and go over on a nice spring day, probably over to Wales or maybe somewhere a bit more local. I haven't quite decided yet. But yes, there will be hopefully some road trips, lots of car stuff going on, car shows going on, car events, and hope maybe do some little bit more work. And in terms of if I'm going to buy another car, who knows? I have sort of toyed with the idea, and when you see the other video I'm about to film after this, where I talk about what cars I like next, there's quite a few cars that I would like to have. However, those would have to be cars that I would buy, keep for a bit, enjoy them, use them a bit, maybe do some work on them, whatever, and then sell on. So I can see myself having a fourth car, but it have to be something I would purely have to make a bit of content for you guys on, and just to tick it off my list. So a couple of different purposes there. I want the different cars, but so it might be something and that I do, but you never know what's coming my way. I do have friends, I do have followers that do send me sort of particularly cheap Mercs. I had a couple of week period where I could have bought two rather cheap CLKs. I think they're the 209 series, I think. I think it's 209, the sort of second generation that came out in 2002, I believe. One was £300, one was £250. I almost could have bought that, but I think it was probably 18 months ago I'd just taken the SLK on, so I sort of had to say, well, let's be sensible here. I've already got one car I need to sort of focus and work on. So I had to sort of turn those down. So you never know what's going to come away. You never know what you'll see on Instagram when you're scrolling through on Facebook, when you're going through some of the Mercedes pages. Yeah, you never know what might come your way. I had another events related question, and that's what events am I doing next year? Well, I'm slowly building up a little bit of a list. I have found this year more so I've just gone and done little local shows, events that I can go to in the morning or in an afternoon or evening. I just spend a couple of hours there, and I found that's worked better for me. And if my partner wants to come along as well, she can do, and we can go out for a Sunday morning, out for a few hours, come back again. Then we've still got the rest of the day to do whatever we want to. And I found that's worked quite well. I've done a few sort of big events. There was the Father's Day show at Wagley Hall, which is by Ulster, which is sort of in between Stratford and Worcester. That was a really good day out. I'll probably try and do that again. That was a nice time spent. Take my dad out to a car show as well, so I'm definitely going to do that again. Chelsea, also already mentioned, is always very good. There's lots of events and some very local. That's always a good place to go to. I go to a lot of their breakfast meets and their evening meets as well. I do some of their, well, I don't do some, I go and watch some of their racing. Usually just take the B class up for that, really, to be fair, and just park it in the members' car park. So I don't usually bother getting these out, to be honest, for those. Only not that far away, so it's fairly pointless, really. There was also another event down at Bromyard, sort of on the Herefordshire Worcestershire border, which looks really interesting. They're doing a speed festival, which is a 2-day event, so Saturday and Sunday. I can't remember exactly when that event was. Haven't really announced any formal plans yet. They've just announced that they're going to be holding it, and they've given an overview of some of the details. So Saturday is going to be a drive around Herefordshire, which sounds lovely. I think Herefordshire is one of those very underrated counties that people don't really know that much about. So I think that would be really nice to go to and do the drive. And then you get back sort of late afternoon, early evening, and then they're doing a little evening car show, which apparently goes on to 10 o'clock, which is quite late for a car show. I've never known a car show gone quite that late, to be honest. And then on the Sunday, apparently they're doing some sort of hill climb and a car show as well. It's a non-competitive hill climb, and they'll have a little car show area where you can park up. I don't know many more details other than that, but that does sound a good event. So I possibly might look at doing one or maybe even both days. I'm not too sure yet. I haven't thought of my head yet. Possibly take this out one of the days, then do the SLK on the other. So I think that's going to bring our Q&A session to an end. Thank you very much for asking the questions. If you have any more questions, do pop them below and I will try and do my best to answer. As ever, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's going to be goodbye from me, goodbye from the SL, and we will see you very soon. Goodbye.